사람이랑 생각을 많이 하잖아요. 저는 그냥 생각 없이 살아요. 근데 되게 게임할 때도 그런 생각 없이 하는데 그냥 딱 보고 이거다 아니면 이거다.
Welcome back to the World Championships, coming to you live from Los Angeles, California. Coming up in just a couple of minutes, it will be Ozone taking on MSK for a shot at the quarterfinals. But first, I'm happy to be joined by Gambit's Alex Ich. So, Alex, let's talk about that match versus Vulcan, Alex, because I feel there was a bit of a gift given to you there, and around that Baron pit. What was going through your mind, A, towards the start of that game, and then B, when that Baron fight started out? You just told me you were really nervous at that time.
So, like at the start of the game, I tried to fight Zed and that failed because Zed is a really strong champion and Mandatory Cloud playing really good. So after that, they got a lot of transitions over the map because it was 2v1 lanes and we couldn't react on time. And they picked up like several frags, and we were falling behind. And like at the moment, like we fall behind, we try to do our best and like getting the picks. So we were falling behind even harder. And when there was Nashor fight, I understood that it is like the last chance. So, you know, like watching the fight there, you know, I played it so bad, but still like we got the Nashor, and after that we could snowball the Nashor.
And that snowball certainly happened, because I think you were 0-3-0 at one point, and you ended up at something like 15-3-4.
I was 0-2-0.
0-2-0. You got one just before it, did you?
Yeah, I killed Mandatory Cloud at top, and then Listen coming from our jungle.
Okay. So, obviously, we just saw the team going off stage there. Some smiles coming from Diamond and Darian and Genja, but yourself, you were not happy with that performance.
I don't know. I would never be happy with like the gift. The only way we can like fulfill this gift is winning the tournament.
And obviously, if Ozone do go ahead on this one, how confident are you feeling up against them? You won one in terms of sets, but obviously you've not really, as a team, been playing great today.
I think that our main problem is our early game, but Ozone's early game is shaky too. And after that, I think that will all depend on the transition into mid-game. So we will see who is better this time.
And has Groove backstage been giving you any words of wisdom? I know you just said he was a little bit older after that match.
I haven't seen him after the game, but I think he's 10 years older now. So if we lose one more, or we'll be close to lose, you know.
And how do you feel, obviously, you know, you've gone 0-2 against Fnatic. Obviously, you've seen these guys playing all season. What do you think has been the turnaround for those guys? Because they had a shaky season, I think it's safe to say. Managed to get second place after, ironically, beating yourselves in the last game of the summer split. Do you know, what do you feel has been their turnaround? And is there anything that you guys can take from that?
I don't know. I think that Fnatic is playing really good. Like, they're a really strong team. They fixed like all their problems during the LCS. I don't think that they paid that much attention to LCS. They only needed like to get through. So now they are really strong, and I think that they can be even like the strongest team of the tournament because of their play style that is different from all other play styles, and like their map transitions, they are totally most of the time unpredictable. And I feel like it's even if some team wins Fnatic, I think for us it would be easier to play that team than Fnatic.
And finally, obviously, you guys, you've got a lot of fans staying up here. There's also fans here for you as well. Anything you'd like to say to the fans back home in Russia?
Nah.
Nah.
I don't know. I think that the only thing we should say to our fans is thanks, and don't flame us that hard for our super games. And I hope that we can show that we deserve the place here, and we can still win and like get to the quarterfinals and show good games there.
Well, best of luck. If the tiebreaker is to happen, best of luck against the Ozone and with possibly the rest of the tournament. Right now, though, we are going to head back over to Quickshot and Freak for the Group B finale.
Thank you very much, D-Man. It is time for the 20th and final scheduled match between the Group B teams, and it features Korea's Samsung Galaxy Ozone taking on Southeast Asia's MSK. If Ozone wins, they earn a tie for second place, and they trigger a one-game playoff with Gambit for the second Group B berth into the quarterfinals. If Ozone, however, lose, their time here at Worlds is over.
And I agree with the analyst desk here. I think we're likely to see Ozone pull out the most standard, safe, and comfortable composition possible. They need to win this game, but at the same time, they don't really want to reveal whatever they've been planning for Gambit, because they know that was a likely eventuality here. They knew their opponents coming into today and had their plans. On the other side, for MSK, this is their last game of Worlds no matter what. And this is their last chance to make an impression. Now, the last game they played against Fnatic, they put down a really interesting composition with 4 supports and a Varus, but they could also go down in history books as we stole your quarterfinal spot away from Ozone. Like, you know, this was a Doublelift's dark horse, and if there's ever a time to come in from the very back, from 70 furlongs away, it's right now for MSK.
I don't even know what 70 furlongs are. So with that note, let's
Very
check
far.
out the starting lineups, guys. On the blue side, it is going to be Samsung Galaxy Ozone. Lupa's going to be up in the top lane with Dandy in the jungle, Dade in the mid lane, Imp is your AD carry, and Mata is your support.
And on the red side, it's Team MSK with Snore in the top lane, Kaigu in the jungle, the crowd behind them, Yume in the mid lane, EXO on AD carry, and TG on support.
Yeah, they've definitely won over the support of the local crowd here. And, you know, they put on a great show against Fnatic. But the question is, can they transition from showman to victoryman if they can pick out a win here against Ozone? Because now I feel there's something that they can have first-hand impact on the tournament.
Yes.
They can genuinely take away a position from Ozone.
Yeah, and it's a real possibility. These teams who go to the quarterfinals, of course, need to be consistent, need to make sure they pick up their wins. You consider what Fnatic did, where they lost to Vulcan, and it was their first game of the day, and first day of the tournament for them, and they came back and swept the groups because they were consistent here. Now, for Ozone to pull up the same things, like, yeah, you might have, you know, losses here or there you didn't expect, but at the same time, you've got to be consistent and win out in the group stage. So, MSK, honestly, there is that chance that they pull this game through. It'll be interesting to see if they can do it.
Well, the pressure is on them now. Ozone have removed out Ari and Corki for their first 2 bans. Zed and Shen. No love for the ninjas here, as if you're a MSK player, at least being the final ban. Now, in terms of the compositions we've been seeing Ozone running that have most impressed me, it's been their double AD comps.
Yeah.
And Ezreal's been key to that. So we'll see if MSK want to focus on that.
Yeah, I'm surprised to not see an Ezreal ban from MSK, but that said, EXO is an Ezreal player himself. Now, they've given Mata Thresh. This is pretty rare for the Ozone squad. He doesn't get to play that all that often because he's freaking good at the champion. But at the same time, actually stealing away the only really successful mid laner from Dade outside of Zed is a smart choice for MSK. They know they gave away Thresh. Stealing Ezreal removes some options from Ozone.
Yeah, and just to highlight this fact, Ezreal, when he's been played by Dade, has a KDA of 11 in that mid lane. His other 2 champions, Lissandra, 0.6, Ryze, 1.8, Jace, sitting similar numbers as well. Dade has not had the same level of success, so we'll see what he decides to replace. Both Dade and Yuma are both actually Ryze players. They've played them pretty much exclusively, actually. I don't think any other mid laners have played that Ryze at all.
Yeah, these are the guys who run it, and the interesting thing is, though, is there's a couple of mind games available here. So you're right about the Ryze steal being a possibility to remove even more comfort from Dade, but at the same side, there's also the slight chance that actually becomes Ezreal mid, because what Imp has already done is picked up Vayne, knowing that Ezreal's not a lane bully, that Imp and Mata can lane together with Vayne Thresh and straight up win their matchup. And so you've got MSK saying, okay, well, we're going to go aggressive here. We're going to lock in Leona. We're going to try to bully out Imp. We're stealing away champions from Dade. And MSK are putting together a very real composition that is looking to play very aggressive.
All right, we'll see how this works out for them. If this is going to be a jungle eve, it'll be Dandy's first different jungler that is not Elise or Jarvan the 4th. Elise was banned out, Jarvan was taken, so natural transition to go to another sort of early game, strong ganking jungler, especially without Lee Sin being in there. We do see that Leona and Karma have been locked in. Maybe a top or mid lane Karma.
Well, I've actually seen a fair amount of top lane Karma. She's been actually picking up a fair bit of steam and works pretty well. She's actually very good at dueling. And is deceptively, like, trolly at low health, because if you empower the W, you get, I believe it's 15 or 20% of missing health back immediately, and then again at the end of the tether after about 2 seconds. So there's actually a lot of power there in the Karma matchup, and then also can help the team initiate with the empowered Soul Shield, and there's a lot of interesting gameplay there. So I'll let them chant, I think.
I think it's worth it. If anyone's going to let them chant, it's going to be Freak. Mineski have to round of the composition. The rest of Ozone, though, they've locked in the Oriana, they've locked in that Zac. So you've got a little bit more of a standard composition here from Ozone. They've got very clear initiation. They've got a ball delivery system. They've got a stealth ball delivery system in the form of Eve, which can work out very well if they decide to go that route. On the other hand, that's a lot of sustain and utility and mobility.
Yeah.
Is this a kill lane?
Oh, no. Oh, I've seen this before. This is old school. Jarvan Leona. This is a possibility. We still have to make sure we see what's going on. Yeah, Jarvan Leona is an old school kill lane, and man, can you dunk on people with that. Now, the 2v1 matchup is not great, because he's sitting there on top of a turret, able to get harassed away by the opposition. Leona's especially bad at 2v1s, but if they find the 2v2, it's gonna require some ward control early game, but it's a fun lane.
Well, the 20-second countdown has come into play. They cannot swap. It is going to be a kill lane, ladies and gentlemen. And while the teams take to the Rift, let's check in and see who you guys predicted to win this matchup. According to LOLesports.com, 87% of you guys think that Ozone will earn a tie with Gambit and force that one-game playoff for that spot in the quarterfinals, and all of our analysts agree as well.
It's the likely setup here, of course. Ozone they won the last time these two teams met. Ozone has the better record overall. MSK, unfortunately, are yet to win a game, but they're pulling out something different. They're pulling out something special. It's hyper-aggressive, and you never know.
Well, let's talk a little bit about this composition. Mundo in the top lane. Karma in the jungle, channeling his inner diamond procs, as it were. Leona Jarvan as your kill lane. Mineski are pulling out an oddball composition in their very last game here at Worlds.
Yeah.
And if we've seen anything from the Koreans at the beginning of the tournament, is that they weren't necessarily maybe as prepared coming in, at least as the general consensus. They didn't expect it. And if they don't expect this or don't know how to play against this comp, this is Mineski's way to maybe pick up a victory.
Well, keep in mind where a lot of these champions came from. Diamond was the first guy that we saw in competitive bring out jungle Karma. And what he basically did is have really good gank pressure, really good wave clear if you wanted to defend a 2v1, and then just kind of became a mage halfway through the game. And that actually worked pretty well overall. Now, top lane Mundo, I actually see a fair bit from the Chinese teams, from actually the two that are actually in this tournament here. And I don't see them really cross over a lot into the Korean scene. So these are champions that SSO has to kind of respond to on the fly and hope they have the right read on what they'll do in this game.
Well, we'll have to see how well Mineski control vision in this game. Whenever you're dealing with a jungle leaf, those pink wards become so incredibly important. And we've actually seen Ozone fall prey to a jungle Eve once this tournament already. Mata not really keeping up the amount of pink wards he needed to. As it stands, Mineski, a little bit of an early punch, as it were, just to get a slightly deeper ward, but they aren't going to push further. As it stands, Mineski back away. Both teams fully aware of their opponent's positions.
And the interesting thing is about this, because we talk about being aware of positions and trying to find the matchups you want, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world for Ozone to actually forcibly 2v1 mid, because or just put their dual lane mid, because the lane is so short, it's very hard to chase down champions with Jarvan Leona. There's not a lot of room to force ganks in there either. And I think that's really the only way Jarvan Leona would succeed. Honestly, it'd be a decent matchup for these guys, but it looks like instead Ozone are sending Vayne to the top lane, and that's going to be a 2v1 against Mundo if there's no swap here from Mineski.
Well, we'll see how well Snoy can handle that lane. Going to be relying on that infected cleaver spam to keep himself topped up on HP and trying to last hit. Right now, Mineski going to start off this blue buff. Mystic shot into the backside of the golem, and the rest of Mineski sticking together. Now, we are going to see EXO and TG, this Jarvan and Leona, going to be battling off against Lupa. So it's a kill lane against a champion with a built-in Guardian Angel effectively. This could be difficult for them.
It really could be, and already you're seeing life be difficult for the 1v2 for Mineski. Snoy actually, instead of the tricks we saw happen from Looper, where Looper went and killed a bunch of monsters at level 1 and showed up late to his lane, Snoy had already spotted out what matchup he was against, and we actually initially saw a quick recall. I saw both Snoy and the dual lane for Mineski recall back, but it looks like they're waiting to push the lane out before they do this because they're looking for that 2v2.
So Kaigu at level 2, he's starting off that red buff. Going to try get himself towards ganking potential. And this is very useful for EXO and TG. Some alone time in the lane can allow them to hit level 2. And that's really the go signal for these kill lanes, making sure they land their CC and get all of the damage down together.
But unless Looper massively misplays, I don't see MSK really making this happen against a revive passive, with all their damage being melee ranged, forcing them to leave the gank early to not die to a turret. I think if the lanes stay like this, you just see Ozone snowballing ahead in the early mid game.
Well, as it stands, no player has got a significant advantage over their opponent. We do say Yume hanging out in that mid lane against Dade's Orianna. Snoik takes a little bit of poke through that flay. And of course, keep in mind that Orianna versus Ezreal, the auto attack damage is actually pretty good for Dade thanks to the passive of Orianna, that clockwork wind-up. It hits pretty hard.
Yeah, so the one thing that there is that defends MSK as well, yeah, despite the fact that the mid lane is going to be pretty rough, and I think life will be a bit difficult for Yume, is that, as we spoke about earlier on, Karma's pretty good at 2v1ing actually, kind of like how it functions with a Nasus. You have really good area of effect damage, you can swipe away minions, and generally keep your turret in pretty good repair. So there's a potential that there's some parts of this that will work in the 2v1.
Well, we do see that TG's decided to roam. He's trying to help out Dade in the mid lane. The question is, has the Zenith Blade been used? Does land a stun onto Dade. They're dropping him low. 50 HP. Yume secures first blood. They picked on Dade. Dade's a member of Ozone that's struggling. Exo and Looper now trading knock-up into knock-up. But there's no mana on Looper, so he's going to continue spamming his abilities, while Exo has to manage his resources.
And this is a great adaptation by MSK. They swapped their lane out knowing there's no kill battles here, but Exo forced to run, he'll survive. Okay. They forced the lane swap then from their support, saying we can't kill the Zac, there's no point camping him. Let's find someone who we can kill, like Orianna. And with Kaigu camping for his top lane, they're actually sort of winning all their lanes now.
Yeah, like you said, if things stay as they are, Ozone will pull ahead. However, MSK pulled the wool over Ozone's eyes and were able to set up that roaming support. I distinctly remember Season 1 when roaming Alistar was the thing and something that works in their favor. If MSK can keep TG roaming and finding kills, it's a great way to accelerate their position in the game. Look at TG's position right now.
This is great. They've actually kind of put the lane swap back into place. It's actually fortunate that Exo took so much damage from Looper. In fact, the flash was burned as well to force that one. So basically, you've got the 2v2 that MSK wanted here with some extra gold. Here we go!
Oh, the Zenith Blade lands, but Imp was able to click the Lantern, gets out cleanly, and TG was hiding for a while. This time it doesn't work out.
And look at the immediate recalls coming in from Ozone. They're wasting no time in getting out of those matchups. And look, there's Thresh and Vayne on your minimap running down to the right-hand side of the map. These are the matchups that Ozone wants. They want the 2v1. Here comes the Gengar to Dade.
Kaigu is flashed for this one. We'll see if the Inspire speed buff will help. Dade is going to fall prey, but Kaigu Ignite is going to go down to those hate spikes. Up in the top lane, it was a kill as well. Actually, no. We do see Dandy trades 1-for-1. Mid lane for jungler.
And ultimately, the kill, though, has gone on to Yume again. This Ezreal is now 2-0, is getting what looks like a very fast Manamune. 2,200 gold on him. He is well ahead of his opposition. So it's actually on this Ezreal right now to make mid-game plays for MSK when fights start happening.
And Kaigu flashed for that one. Right now, Snoy in a little bit of trouble. We see Mata is going to use the flay. Condemn slams him into the wall. Death Sentence connects. Imp continues to land damage, and Snoy is holding up relatively well, but that's a lot of harass. Down to 35% HP just after a couple of combos.
Yeah, thankfully for Mundo, he's got a lot of regeneration. In addition to that Doran's Shield and Ruby Crystal, I feel like he'll be able to survive this matchup, but it's still the case of Ozone getting the matchups they wanted. It's not a case of surviving, it's about Vayne free farming and not facing a kill lane here. So it's still on MSK to make plays because Ozone can just scale this map out.
Well, we have to keep an eye on how the CS numbers are being affected by these rotations. Remember that every time you recall and move around the map, you lose that crucial experience and gold. As it stands, top lane is 34-26, 80 carry versus Exo's Jarvan, 50-36. Keeping up, TG's hanging around. Zenith Blade does not connect. That means Dade is going to be able to walk away cleanly. A little bit of a weak attempt.
TG kind of needs level 6 to make this happen anymore. As long as Dade doesn't stand near any of the brush, pink wards or not by MSK, he just won't be in range here. It's ultimately just a game of MSK looking for the openings and not finding a lot of them. He looks at the top lane now. TG's been seen by a ward. There's a chance here they still find.
There's no flash available. TG only level 4 right now. 2 Loopers level 6. So that Let's Bounce plus the Tenacity. No, Tenacity was removed. The Let's Bounce will allow him to at least bounce away and get out cleanly. TG's going to have to probably stick around in the lane, get closer to that solar flare and really allow those roaming ganks to have much more impact.
That's very, very important. But as soon as you've got those combos together, here's the push on a looper. I feel like he's going to live.
Yeah, his Cell Division is still available. He's got that Ruby Crystal available. Drops to a couple hundred hit points, but a lot of damage. So Looper, he's going to stick around and going to be relying on that passive to try and help him sustain. He does have an additional potion as well, so he should be fairly okay. We'll see whether or not MSK are brave enough to dive.
But the plays are really going to happen for MSK when that Leona hits level 6. Unfortunately, only barely 5 right now. Looper actually goes in with Dandy.
Oh, we'll see how this goes in. Looper gets knocked up into the air. Cataclysm comes down. Dandy is forced backwards as a flash forward from TG. He's trying to get in range. Takes too many tower hits, and all of a sudden, Looper and Dandy pick up a kill. Snoy is in trouble. The Silver Bolt picks up a kill. Imp is going to get away, but they do trade 1-for-1. MSK, 3 kills to 4. But 1,300 gold behind.
And good guy Mata tried to shield his teammate right there and give him a lantern instead of putting the lantern onto himself, which might have just been enough to have him survive the turret shot. But either way, it's Imp getting ahead. 73 minions as well as a champion kill here. He fought against a kill lane sort of, but managed to dodge it and is just scaling up, as well as the fact that Ozone as a team have more gold.
Yeah, the very, very first gank from TG worked out for them, but he has not been able to replicate it, even with 1 or 2 Zenith Blades connecting. Dandy was in a very good position to counter gank that top lane when the dive happened from EXO and TG, but something MSK will need to be aware of. There are a bunch more pink wards being picked up, and we'll have to see how effectively they can control the movements of Dandy as he's 2-0-1, getting closer and closer to having that Elder Lizard completed.
And that's when it really turns on for Evelynn. She's already got the ultimate available as well. So Dandy will just be a menace on this map. And aside from really Ezreal, there's not a lot of escape for these MSK lanes. He can chase down Leona, he can chase down Dr. Mundo, maybe even the Karma as well. So life is going to be difficult here for MSK. You see Dandy already looking for his way in.
A couple auto attacks landing onto TG. He's only got that Sightstone completed right now. You see Dandy walking over, but that's not a pink ward. He's not being spotted. TG's gone in. Zenith Blade lands, but here comes Dandy. That is TG just removed from the map. One more hate spike will secure it. The rest of the team continues to dive as Dandy is going to be tanking this one up.
Here comes
EXO
Kaigu.
is going to get the shield here from Kaigu. Imp is going to get rooted in place. EXO has flashed out cleanly. That's the first kill into Dando. Exio is still alive. That's a double kill for Kaigu. The shield of the Inspire able to keep him alive. Yume trading with Dadi in the mid lane, but a great counter gank there by Kaigu.
Very impressive right there. The play by the jungler, the turnarounds for Karma, and that's what you get for biting off more than you can chew. Now MSK, with Smite available and pink ward control, are looking to push forward in this mid game. It's control over Dragon. Should be theirs.
EXO is very low on HP. Dada and Mata do have the Shockwave available to make use of. So if Thresh lands a hook, that's your ball delivery. Command attack. He flashes away from the Shockwave. Dragon is still up. The knockup does not come in. Now EXO forced to back away. Solar Flare lands but doesn't connect with anybody. They trade 1 for a Dragon. I think in the grand scheme of things, worthwhile.
That is worthwhile for MSK. Good flash to dodge the Shockwave. Unfortunately, too much damage for EXO to deal with. But yes, MSK holding on to an equal gold game now, but they've got to worry about the fact that Imp is on Vayne, and it's going to be hard to deal with that, man. I don't think the MSK comp is really amazingly suited to deal with Imp getting huge in this game. They're on a bit of a clock here, MSK. They've got to keep looking for those openings, use the Leona, use the Karma, and make things happen.
Well, we'll see how well they can manage that clock. Snoy in this top lane, 45 CS to Looper's 72. The Mundo hasn't really had an impact yet. He has been in sort of the 1v2 lane. He has been ganked a little bit, but we'll have to see when the roaming and the team fights start happening, whether or not Mundo's immense regen is going to be enough to control Imp, because I feel like that's going to be his job as this game progresses.
Mundo will actually do a very good job of messing with the front liner, but Snoy's getting jumped on first.
Yeah, we do see the Ignite going down. Snoy is in trouble, down to 100 HP. He is going to land a slow onto Looper, but he burned his ultimate a moment ago. Didn't have the regen, and Looper just combos his Let's Bounce plus Ignite to pick up a kill.
Watch out for this, though. Dandy's going to turn this around if Kaigu goes aggressive.
So Looper is going to charge. He manages to land the slow. Here comes Dandy. A knockup lands onto Kaigu. He's got no flash. He's going to throw the shield down. The root is available. Not going to be enough. Dandy just melting Kaigu's HP bars. Another kill for Ozone in this top lane.
It did not require a lot of effort right there. Unfortunately, Karma squishy early on in this game. Just has the Spectral Wraith right there, which is not a lot of durability, and of course with the shield burn, it just makes life difficult. The crowd control chain, great here. And now you've got the 2v2, finally, for MSK. Unfortunately, I feel like it's come in a little bit too late. I think the Ozone duo lane here is so powerful they'll be able to deal with this matchup straight up now.
There is a 30 CS deficit between EXO and Imp. So is dealing some pretty decent damage actually with that Dragon Strike. So hitting pretty hard right now. He's got that Brutalizer completed. We'll have to see whether or not he can 100 to 0 Imp, because I feel like if they don't, then that's basically going to be a lost team fight. As it stands, Yume rather, moving towards his blue buff. Gonna maybe get helped out by Kaigu, and we'll see where he decides to roam. He's got the makings of a Trinity Force first. He didn't actually rush that man like we were expecting.
Yeah, I actually read that one wrong. I forgot that the longsword is part of the standard build now for Ezreal. So there's a bit of a gank coming in from Kaigu. He is going through a pink ward. Just won't get spotted. We'll see how well Mod and Imp play through the engage of Mineski.
Solar Flare is so important in the setup, but you can see Imp and Mada realizing something's up. There's a number of pings onto the bottom brush. Dandy has now been called in for backup, and Imp and Mud are now playing bait duty. We'll see him coming in. Zenith Blade doesn't connect. Mineski still continue this one. The box is down. Solar Flare locks up Dandy and Mata. A knockup. Great coming down from EXO. He's removed from this fight, and the support of Mata is down. Now we see Imp has not been touched. His Kaigu is killed. That's a double. That's going to be another kill for Dandy. That just was too easy. A 3-for-1 with Mata locking him in the box.
Yeah, in this case, imping is easy because all the damage went through onto Mata. He valiantly tanked it up for his team, and the Vayne was just left untouched, able to just deal damage to that front line. Even Yume tried to help. He tossed the True Shot barrage down, but it's just... Ozone are too scaled up at this point. These fights need to be lopsided in order for Mineski to win them.
Yeah, Mineski committing to the fight even after missing the Zenith Blade. I have to feel that maybe it was a little too gun happy. We do see Looper now jumping onto Snoy. Snoy's dropped low. There's no sadism available. Bounce is going to throw him up in the air. He's going to continue to use that percentage HP damage and picks up yet another kill on Snoy. This Mundo pick really not working out for them in the early stages.
Unfortunately, no. Looper had a much better time of this. Was never under pressure in his lane. You actually had seen TG roam out. So Looper has been in a 1v1 almost the entire game. But goodbye, Yume!
Yume going to go down. Dandy with the hate spikes is definitely going to lay down the pain. Now we see a flash forward. He manages to get another kill onto Kaigu. TG forced out of the engagement. The Haunting Guys plus Elder Lizard and all of the damage on that hate spike. Dandy 7-1-3. He's a scary, scary Evelyn.
He is, and unlike what we've seen with Lee Sins and utility junglers getting ahead where they will buy a Sight Stone or they'll buy an Oracle with mobility, Dandy's like, my utility, my crowd control is death. If you're dead, you don't deal damage, you don't run away, you don't cast spells. I'm just going to get some Magic Pen and crush your faces. And that's just fine and dandy for the Ozone squad.
It's the most uninterruptible form of crowd control. The death.
Teleport.
Imp right now.
Revive Teleport, that one works.
Revive Teleport. Right now, Imp, he's going to focus down this bottom lane tower. Is another minion wave conga lining its way up. He's deciding to just focus this down, picking up the CS as and when he can. With the aid of Mata, going to be able to at least defend any sort of counter engages. Now, Ozone, 7,000 gold in the lead. We do see a Looper invading. He's managing to force away EXO. EXO does smite that red buff, but it doesn't go to a more priority targets.
And at least he got to secure it, though. And another fight coming up. Actually, Dandy walking right in there. And you can just tell how much presence Dandy has on this map. Everyone's got to fear just the Evelyn being there. She will win any 1v1 on this map.
This is officially Dandy's map. He can go and come as he pleases. There's a little bit of pink wards down for Mineski, but there's actually more pinks on the map from Ozone than from Mineski. So Mineski aren't even aware of Dandy's movements across the map, which is why he's had such great success on his kills and managed to get himself into this very powerful position. 14 kills to 6 right now. Dragon will be respawning in 10 seconds. Ozone waiting on the doorstep. They're happy to greet this Dragon and secure yet more global gold.
Yeah, and the trademark Ozone play really is controlled play. They're going to find a pick here, though.
Oh, we do see Solar Flare. That's going to at least lock up 3 members of Ozone, but we're not going to see TG doing much more after that. Looper was able to zone out EXO and Kaigu's Shockwave, pulls 2 of them in. We do see the distance going down, but nobody else from Mineski decides to engage on that one. They'll be happy with a kill and the damage. It allows them to pick up Dragon safe.
Absolutely. They're gonna be controlled in this game. They know they don't want to put any major risks in there. I don't expect the Baron when the enemy team is alive. I expect them to make sure that this is a, as I said, controlled game. The pink wards pretty much guarantee that there aren't any pinks up from the Mineski squad, and Looper's gonna find another catch.
Does manage to knock up Yume. He's gonna Arcane Shift over the wall. That's gonna only scare them away. Mata flashes for this one, pulls the flame backwards, now pulls Dandy in. They're gonna jump on Snoy. Sadism's giving him the HP. It's not going to be enough. EXO now puts himself in trouble, gets knocked up in mid-flight, slammed into the wall. He can't even get the slam dunk down as Dandy takes him out mid-flight.
That was just a really, really good play there by Mata. Put the lantern down, got the flag, got the hook, got everything he wanted right there. Really nice moves, and it's just continually the Ozone ability to make plays off of their wards, and they're not even risky plays. They're just obvious plays that they've created through their ward control.
Dandy just doing such great work, being pulled into the fight by Mata's Dark Passage there, and it's part of the reason that we've seen so many Thresh bans against Mata. His Thresh play is very, very good. Yume in this mid lane now does have that Trinity Force completed, still working towards the man. I mean, only 10 CS behind his opposition, Dade, but it doesn't matter when he can just be melted by Dandy. He's got himself the makings of a Deathfire Grasp now, so to add to the penetration and the damage that Elder Lizard's giving him, he's just going to be able to insta-give people very, very shortly.
He will straight up 1v1 someone before they get the ability to respond. There's so much % health damage available, and then just the constant train of height spikes coming through afterwards. It's just Dandy taking control of this game. He's really... I guess it's pretty fair to say he's kind of the reason Ozone is winning, because the game started out with Mineski making the first moves. Mineski got first blood. Mineski had some pretty good lane rotations and ultimately built an early advantage, but Dandy turned so much around, and here's TG in a really bad spot.
TG's going to die. Solar Flare does land, but the on-hit damage from Dandy's just going to be able to melt his HP. True Shot Barrage trying to clear out the minions here on this mid lane tower, but without Solar Flare, without TG available, Ozone are just going to shove this down. EXO gets pulled back by the Shockwave. That's a lot of damage onto Dade as Yume continues to spam out those Mystic shots, but it's not going to be enough. He gets caught by the Death Sentence. They pull him in. He's going to be able to Arcane Shift out cleanly as now Kaigu forced to flash over the wall. I think Yume does not have his flash available. He's going to get dropped. And Snoy just throwing out those briefcases. That's not going to be enough. Snoy, unfortunately, your homework isn't going to slow Ozone down.
No, the briefcase is not powerful enough. Lupert is jumping in on top of a turret. This is a little more than he needs to do. Forced to flash away. Oh, MSK gonna go back in for this, though.
Yeah, they're gonna be able to pick up a counter kill here. Lupa definitely biting off more than he can chew. However, here comes Dandy and Dada. They're gonna re-engage with Imp as well. They actually pick up the first kill onto Snoy. We do see Zac going down in the background as it's flag and drag from EXO. Tries to get him out, but a triple kill for Dandy.
Yeah,
they got to give him enough gold for his DFG for sure.
Yeah, they got 4 kills for that, Zac. I don't think that was really the plan to bait it out, but at the end it worked. The rest of Ozone came down, and they're just ahead by this point. This was Ozone, and specifically Dandy, completely controlling the first 10 minutes of this game, and now he's just being rewarded with sacks of meat that are easy to kill. Evelyn are making widows.
Even catches Yume in the background.
Yeah.
Dade almost able to pick up the kill though, but is going to back away cleanly. With the blue buff and the cooldown reduction from Athenes, he's going to be able to at least get that back up and available in the not too distant future.
Yeah, Evelyn really doing her job there. The Widowmaker just killing people over and over and over again. You're seeing the score lines just look worse and worse for the Mineski squad. Now keep in mind that Dade had started this game 0-2 because of 2 very successful ganks. Yume started the game 2-0 because of those moves made by TG, and then nothing's really happened since for these guys. Everything's been a reaction from Mineski. They've been unable to find and pin out Dandy. They've been unable to force any more issues here. Ozone are just completely in control. I want to know how long they take to close one out though, because they don't have to do much.
Well, not much longer, but shaded things. Dade in the background. He's going to survive. Command Protect is going to keep him up. We do see the first 2 members of Mineski being dropped. Kaigu is going to be the 3rd. That's a triple kill for Dandy. We do see Dade securing the 4th kill as now Snoy is forced back into the engagement. Snoy's going to go down. And that's Mineski trying to pick a fight, thinking they have the numbers advantage, but their opponents had a 10,000 gold lead. They didn't even get Dade.
Not at all. 13,000 gold now in the lead. They're going for Baron as well. And at this point, yep, that's a safe Baron for you guys, Ozone. It's impossible, literally impossible for your opponents to steal it. That's going to be another secured advantage here for Ozone. And I think we're pretty secure in saying they're looking forward to a rematch against Gambit for the final quarterfinal spot.
Dade even using his Shockwave there to apply more damage to the Baron. And as you mentioned, Freak, once Ozone decide to push down the Nexus, it is going to be a best of 1, Ozone versus Gambit. The winner of that match advancing to the quarterfinals. We do see EXO is caught between a Vayne and a squishy Lupa. And you see Lupa doesn't manage to land the knockup. EXO gets out cleanly. 120 CS in this kill lane of Jarvan and Leona really not working out for Mineski. They got first blood, but it didn't work out from there on out.
Yeah, I gotta still hand it to TG for that mid lane rotate. It worked very, very well. But the problem was Ozone outplayed the lanes. They managed to hide the Vayne Thresh lane. The aggressive wards didn't really come out for MSK. They didn't spot where the dual lane was going, and they didn't really get to ever push and recall and find the matchup. When they did find the matchup, Ozone recalled within a single wave. The counter pick never existed for these guys, and Dandy just kept making everything happen. Ozone's got a Baron buff. They've got a lot of gold. This could be the game-winning push.
Well, Yume is still in that bottom lane. He's recalled now. Does not have home guard boots available. Going to make his way to the lane. We do see Lupa. He's pulled the trigger. He's gone in. Let's Bounce is now available. The shockwave pulls him backwards. That's going to be enough damage to remove Kaigo from the fight. Now EXO's in trouble. He tries to slam dunk once again. Cataclysm does not get down as he's killed mid-air. Snoy is going to be dropped now as another double kill for Dandy is secured. They pick up the inhibitor turret. They're on the Nexus turrets. And Ozone are going to close out this game right now.
In just 23.5 minutes, 19-1-6 for Dandy's Evelyn. That is a freaking massive number of kills here. And this is it, guys. This game's going to be ending. Ozone are looking for the last quarterfinal match in their rematch against Gambit.
That's it, ladies and gentlemen. A best of one between Europe's Gambit and Korea's Ozone. And the winner will be advancing to the quarterfinals. Serious looks there for Ozone, and just to touch on something that Chat was mentioning earlier, this is going to be the first time at this tournament where teams play back-to-back.
Yeah.
And I feel after a very convincing win, Ozone are going to be fairly happy coming into this match. They're going to be comfortable, and I think they're going to be aware of what they need to do.
I think so as well. Especially Dandy here came in playing it basically perfect, and that's what you want to do when you're against a team that is honestly objectively weaker than you. You say, look, we shouldn't make any major mistakes. We should be in control of the game from second one. And for the most part, Ozone was. The only thing you've got to be concerned about is Dade. Didn't get Ezreal, gave up 2 early kills, and kind of gave the glimmer of hope there for MSK. And you've got to be sort of concerned. We've been talking about him all tournament long. Can he perform on not Zed and not Ezreal?
So the one thing that did stand out for me is that Ozone were able to mitigate further deaths by Dade.
Yeah.
We've seen, a couple of ganks, a couple of counter ganks from Dandy. We've seen Dade play very passive and safe in that mid lane. And I think if Gambit are unable to capitalize in what is essentially a weak link in Ozone's team, that is Ozone's way in. That's their window of opportunity. Can we contain the damage that could possibly be done?
And this is actually something that I know Monte Cristo talks a lot about with Dandy, where he will research opponents and basically guess their jungle routes or their gank routes. And when you know that, okay, people are going to probably gank Dade a lot, and he can know that Diamond tends to like to gank for Alex, he can see those coming, and with Dandy's smart play, they can turn those 2v2s around. In fact, both of those games, the first and second game between Ozone and Gambit, had a double kill in the mid lane for one of the mid laners, and that turned out to decide the game. So I think it's a very likely point of contention in the next game we see.
Well, we'll see who can win that mid lane matchup. We're going to send it over to Riv and the guys at the desk for a breakdown of Ozone's win and a look ahead to the tiebreaker.
Thank you very much, guys. And really, it's Gambit versus Ozone. I'm going to throw it to Jat to start this one off. Break it down for us.
Well, both teams still looked pretty shaky. Ozone wasn't performing all too well, and I don't know if they have what it takes to beat Gambit in the tiebreaker. What do you think, Rib?
Well, honestly, mentally, it's...
Rib, you sound a lot like Douglas today.
Yeah, it's a cold. Mentally, they're going to be really at an advantage here because, they just went off of a nice win. It was a little rough, but mechanically, they're going to be shaped up. Their communication is going to be solid. I really got to give it to Ozone.
Absolutely. And, Jat, to expand on that, please.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with what I just said. The big thing about this game is I just can't keep it together.
Sorry, I was running late, Jat. Thanks for filling for me.
That's the beauty of live.
Yeah.
So coming into this one, obviously, we just saw Ozone play. They're going to have the back-to-back game, Jat, as you said before. That's momentum for a team.
Yeah, and I actually remember way back in IM Katowice, Gambit's been in a similar situation before where they kind of got a second life. They were in a group stage where they needed to win a game exceedingly fast in order to actually make it out of the group stage. They did. They had a night off, and then the next day they beat the teams that ended up becoming CJ Entus, Blaze, and Frost in the same day in the semifinals and finals. So, I mean, even though Gambit looked a little shaky in that game, they have turned around in the past on an incredibly short time frame and just looked amazing.
Well, it's also worth noting as well that Gambit has never placed below bottom 4 to land. Why would they start now, right? They're always that clutch team. So they're one of only, I believe, 2 teams in the world that's ever done that, them and Frost. So, I mean, it's an important streak, and
that's true.
I think that it's unlikely they're going to break it here, but we'll find out. And especially, we look at that, and Dade continues to have problems. It's like he can't conceptualize that there may be somebody else to come and gank his lane. I mean, he got surprised by the Leona rotation right there, but he seems to play as if it's just him and the other mid laner, and even then sometimes he still loses. So it's quite puzzling.
Yeah, the thing that strikes me the most about Dade is he doesn't really respect Fog. The thing that loses him against Fnatic so much is he will die when people hide and brush for an extended period of time. All you have to do is have patience, really, against Dade, and it seems like he'll fall for your gank or he'll fall for your little gimmick, and it's concerning to me that just consistently happens throughout the group stage.
I do think Alex is on fire as well. He's going to be really motivated coming into this game. He doesn't want to lose like the way he did. He always gets really passionate once Gambit actually starts playing a little poor. And I think it was a wake-up call for them. I think they're definitely going to be the favorite for this match.
And Monty, I kind of want to poke you with this question of the junglers. It's kind of been on your mind. You're always talking about Dandy and how he's been doing. Kind of, as we just heard, Smithy Light coming in, but Dandy huge that game. How is he going to fare up against Diamond, who tries to be even more aggressive in his game?
Well, I mean, to look back at the couple of games that we've seen so far, we had a 1-1 split between Gambit and Ozone, and each of those games was very one-sided for one of the teams. Now, Gambit, I don't think, was ready for a double AD composition in the way that Korean teams play it, particularly a team like Ozone. And so I don't know what tricks Ozone has left, though, right? Now that Gambit's seen it, they should be feeling more confident. And that game was less about that jungle presence. Now, when they were trying to have heavy jungle presence in that first game, it kind of did go horribly awry, and they ended up handing over that double kill in mid lane. So unless they have a very specific strategy in store, in spite of Dandy's skills, Diamond's also one of the best junglers. So I think it's hard to call.
And Doublelift, what do you think they're going to have to do about the bot lane? You've been saying Imp is really on a roll right now. How do you think Gambit can shut him down?
Well, Imp is on a roll, but Mata seems to be getting caught a decent amount. I think it's a really big toss-up because Genja has been playing too bad, minus the the builds, joking around with that. Like, honestly, Genja's been playing pretty decently. He's been playing solid. Imp, on the other hand, he's a big playmaker. I think he's a little bit like he'll have high highs and low lows, whereas Genja is a steady, more steady kind of player.
And Crepo, voice in. Let's take it to the mid lane. Dade versus Alex Ish coming in. What are your thoughts on that? Dade's been kind of up and down on that roller coaster, as we've seen and heard from you guys that Alex is kind of on a rampage right now.
We're probably not going to see a Zed here. I wonder if they're going to give an assassin to probably both players like assassins. And last game they actually gave Shen to Darian. To Vulcan rather, but they might give it to Darian again here. And an assassin with a Shen backup on a team that's on fire might actually be really dangerous to play against.
And I know we've talked about it all the time, but we need to kind of just double up on it. Dade's champion pool, which is increasingly small, I think is going to be attacked by Gambit if they've really thought about this game. They're the ones who had the game off, technically, when Ozone was playing Mineski. And I think it's attackable. Even on Orianna against Mineski, Dade was not able to have a performance. Everyone else on the team is who did fantastic there.
And the weirdest thing about Dade is that when he played Ryze and Lissandra and like Gragas, and then now he played Orianna, those were not good games for him. And so mentally, what happens, well, to me, is when I have a bad game in a tournament on a certain champion, I'll just immediately be like, well, I guess I either suck at this champion or we can't run it as a team or I don't know what's going on, but I'm going to stray away from this champion. But it seems like he's had bad games on pretty much everything that he's tried, so I don't really know. Ezreal seems to be the only champion where he's had like an exceedingly good game.
His Jace went all right, so he might opt for that again. And then again, I think Gambit is pretty used to playing against Jaces,
right.
So it'll be definitely tricky to see what Dade comes up with.
And Doublelift, what leads the team into that choice? Is it premeditated? Like, at an MLG choice, when you played Urgot and you were like, man, this Urgot 6 item isn't something I want to play again before. We need to win early with that. What goes into the choice of saying, we want to play Urgot this game?
Well, generally you just consult with each player on your team and you're like, hey, what are you comfortable with? What do you want to run? And what champions do you want to run with this, like, for example, an Urgot comp or whatever they're going to run for mid, an Ezreal comp, a double AD comp like that. And the person will tell you, I'm either A, comfortable with this, or B, uncomfortable with this, and let's like do something completely else and change the team comp because I'm just not comfortable. So it just depends on whatever Ozone wants to do. And I think it has a lot to do with their coaching.
And let's talk a little bit about the team comps, because a big thing coming into Worlds now is the 3.11 patch, 3.11. That Triforce coming in. We've seen Corki used quite a bit in the early part of this tournament, but then it's kind of fallen off, and people are trying to put Ezreal mid, so it's still trying to get that Triforce in.
Yeah, I want to see how the build paths affect the bottom lane here, only because we've seen a whole bunch of variants, specifically from Imp and Genji. Genji's building, almost picking items from a hat at this point, it seems. Like, he does the Trinity Force build, or he went Bloodthirster Infinity Edge on Varus, even though I expect that to be a Bloodthirster Last Whisper build like anyone else would do. And Imp has not played the Trinity Force carries at all in this patch, so I think there's a big thing to watch there, whether Genji builds properly or if Imp plays the... He's played it once, I think.
Once, yeah.
But that's not his core champion pool coming in either, so I really want to see how that matches up.
I really hope Genja will rather go for like the BT builds, because generally he does really well. If you look back half a year ago, for example, he was playing a lot of Misfortune, and he would even go up to 2 Bloodthirsters and just wreck with the AoE ulti. That's actually something they might actually bring back for a concise team fight.
He has tried the MF so far.
I think the strangest thing about Imp is the fact that people regard him, well, at least me and pretty much everyone I've ever talked to, has regarded him as the best Caitlyn they've ever laned against. He's really, really good at Caitlyn. He had a really good game coming into the group stage on Caitlyn too, and he's obviously a contender for like top Vayne in the world. So I don't see why he doesn't just stick to those guns. He's really straying away. You saw him go like Trinity Force Kog'Maw, kind of copying Genja, and he's just had a lot of variance in his champion pool.
The whole team has had a whole bunch of variants. I mean, I almost want to say both teams have had a whole bunch of variants. I'd say Ozone has been the shakier of the two, because Gambit is always unpredictable and just does crazy things, which consistently leads to a lot of variance in the games, but that's not what we were used to from Ozone.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen, we've got to take a quick break. We do have that game coming up. When we return, Samsung Galaxy, Ozone, and Gambit face off in a one-game tiebreaker with a trip to the quarterfinals on the line. But first, we turn up the sounds of the game and listen in as Ozone tries to hook up Dandy with the pentakill.
펜타 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 펜타
와 다네
내가 펜타 먹는 건데
펜타가 어딨어